Really? Okay. Hi, I'd like to welcome everyone to the Diversity Lecture Series. Gina asked me to introduce the guest speaker, and she said to let you guys all know about my two beautiful daughters that I've pretty much raised single parent for like 20 some odd years. And I was like, okay, whatever. But the thing that I appreciate about this one is, you know, you sit there and you raise your kids and you hope to God for the best every day and you try your best every day. And my daughter, I finally kind of released her to allow her to go to South Carolina and start her life. And as soon as she did, she got in an auto accident and, it could have been it. I mean, she totaled the car and everything was just really messed up for a while and I couldn't rush over and get her and take care of her. And I think I'm hoping that most people don't have to go through a lot of that and that you're not a single parent and you've got two people for your kids. But sometimes I feel like we're in a war to protect our children, and it's not always easy, and there are casualties. And I just appreciate that I'm not in the same boat. Like I'm not in the boat by myself, and I'm really excited about the lecture and the video. So I'm here to introduce Lenora Minai. She is the communication director of the Office of Communication Services at Duke University, and she's the editor of this publication, which I thought was really cool because I saw the presentation poster, and she's right there, front cover. So she was a reporter for St. Petersburg Times, and now the Tampa Bay, and now a reporter for Tampa Bay Times. Did I get that right? I'm sorry. She received a certificate in documentary arts from Duke Center for Documentary Studies and is currently pursuing a master's degree in liberal studies in Duke University. And today we also have two women featured in the documentary film, which will be shown here today, Diana Jones and Mina Hampton. Thank you.
Can you hear me okay? All you in the back there, you got to come up front. I feel like I'm talking to a sea. First of all, I want to thank you all for coming out today. I really appreciate it. I know that this is a heavy topic, but I think we need to shine a light on areas that we don't like to look at and talk about sometimes. So I know we have some folks who are watching from afar. Duke Hospice and Home Care is watching, as well as some other areas, so I just want to thank you for tuning in. I know Gina gave me my marching orders on what to talk about, but I'm just going to try to tell you a little bit about why I made this film and a little bit of background about me, but really it's about Diane Jones and Mina Hampton. So many years ago, I was a reporter, and I covered crime at the St. Petersburg Times in Florida. And I covered crime. And so I basically, for half of my career there, I spent my days covering cops and robbers, murders, fires, serial killers, serial bank robbers, deadly hurricanes, and all over Florida. And I even went to Mexico for one story. But in 2005, I had an opportunity to come work at Duke and get out of journalism, which was changing, as you all know. And I jumped at the opportunity to come and work at Duke, where I've been since 2004, November 14th. I'm the editor for Working at Duke, which is the print publication, and also for Duke Today. You all may get the print magazine. You may check out Duke Today. You may get the e-newsletter. So I'm behind all of that, working with a great team in my office. So why did I make this movie? So when I got out of journalism and came to work at Duke, I still had a hunger to tell stories, untold stories, underreported stories. And I still get the print newspaper, even today, both the Herald Sun and the News and Observer. And I noticed when I first got here in 2005 that there were all these vigils happening in Durham. Now, 2005 was a different Durham, I guess. So I started going out to these vigils, which is where I met Diane and Mina originally way back when. And I just noticed that predominantly there were women grieving in the crowd. They were basically street corner vigils. And I started thinking I wanted to do something to tell their story. But more than that, I also wanted to make sure that their stories continued, because so when you write a story in a newspaper, long after the headlines are gone, you know, they're left behind, families are left behind, loved ones are left behind to continue. And we forget that because the news just moves on. And so I decided I would learn a whole new thing, which was carrying around a video camera, learning Final Cut Pro. How many times I would be in, I think one time I was in Mina's kitchen and I was filming and Mina was talking and I forgot to press record. So like I learned through this. I mean, I guess Gina asked me, like, I'm someone who's really into continual learning. So, you know, I got my certificate, I learned how to do video. Now I'm getting my master's, so I just don't believe in, I guess this is a women's history program, I want to make sure as a woman and as all of us that we're always striving to be the best we can be, and continual learning is part of that. So that was part of the reason why I decided to do video. What else? I think that's pretty much most of the reason why I wanted to talk to you just right now about that. But I want to also just thank Diane Jones and Mina Hampton for being my friend. And they are awesome. Mina will kill me, but she is turning 90 in April. Wow. So when you pose your questions too, please speak loudly, because she's having some hearing challenges. So she'll tell you that herself, but I may repeat the questions so that she can hear them and be able to answer your questions. So, and then Diane is a fearless leader, and she and Mina have left some reading materials in the back. You'll learn all about them in the movie, but I want to step off now so that we can watch it, and then I think the best conversation is going to come with taking questions and having a free flowing of ideas. So with that, I'm going to try to figure out how to press play, but do you want to dim the lights? Martin, I got this, don't worry. Maybe a little lower. Yeah, that's great. Can everybody see this? Can everybody see the screens okay? Okay.
When I went into labor, I remember my mother hollering and screaming, and she acted up so bad at the hospital that they put her out and they put me to sleep. And when I woke up, I had a little boy. Here I am, 14 years old. What do I do with the baby? And I remember just praying and crying, and I remember saying to God, God, you gave me this baby, and I need you to help me with him. I got his diaper on, and I just held him. And he was the most beautiful thing that I ever seen. And I promised him that day that I would be the best mother that I could possibly be to him. He was David Bullock III. His grandfather was David Bullock Sr. His dad was Junior, so he was the third, which he loved being the third. I don't know why. He just thought it was so great. I'm David Bullock III, he would always say so. He started getting in trouble, hanging out in the streets, getting arrested for drug possession and stuff like that. And if I didn't hear from him, I would go over to North Durham looking for him. I would call him to the car, talk to him, give him a couple of dollars, ask him had he eaten, give him food. I was at work and someone came and got me and said, you have a phone call. And it was my daughter on the other end saying, Mama, don't get upset, but Butch has just been shot. Lord, make us instruments of your peace. Where there is hatred, let us sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. I am Diane Jones, and I am co-leader of the group, and I became involved with the group after the murder of my son, David Bullock, March of '97.
I'm Mina Hampton, and I became involved the summer after my son was murdered in 1994. My what if is, if I had been home, I probably could have helped that. Probably wouldn't have ever happened. It took me a long time to realize that even if I had been here in Durham, there wasn't a thing I could have done about that. I would have been in bed fast asleep because he got off of work at 4 o'clock and headed home.
Tommy was shot in the head. One bullet killed Tommy. I couldn't believe that Tommy had been killed. It was just something I never dreamed of anything like that happening to me. I stayed on the go all the time. Instead of coming home and going to bed and saying that's the end of the world for me. I've gotten involved with COP, which is Citizens Observer Patrol. There are no weapons, there are no sirens in the car, even though it's an old police car. We wear a uniform, we check on the infirmed, and when people go away on vacations, we check their houses. Tommy still lives with me because I guess being his mother, that you never forget a child. Birthed him and watched him grow up, and then this was the final chapter of his life. But you've got the thoughts and the memory, and I think about the good things. And I wonder, what would he look like today? I wonder if he would have ever gotten married. I'm sure he'd be bald-headed. Probably much more receding than there. And, just like that, I wonder what he would be doing.
Just to let you all know who we are the parents of murdered children. We are here to show Mildred support. It takes a lot of courage to come back to the scene where your child is killed. My son was killed in '97, and it took me 10 years to go back to the place where he was killed. We as grieving parents don't only grieve for our children, we grieve for every person that is killed. Every time someone is killed, we grieve for them. When someone is pushing you the wrong way, you just think about the pain that it leaves behind. You just don't kill that person, you kill a family.
They say he had his back turned to the street. And I still don't know. I think it was from that way they said they came down and started shooting. He caught the first bullet and it just blowed his brains out the back of the head. If they could just confront me face to face, just so I could just ask them why. Just why would you do it?
When you go through this kind of pain and the murder of someone, it's like you're in this room by yourself that nobody understands. And not even my family understood. My daughter, my husband, and even people kind of push you away when they hear murder. Tonight, I'm going to do an exercise of writing something on a balloon that you want to let go. We're going to go outside and we're going to let the balloon go with whatever that is holding you stuck in a grief place.
And when you said closure, that word bothers me. Because when people say closure,
It's not any, is
you
it?
get some, there is a certain part of the whole process that you do get some things that settled maybe a little bit. But to me, there will never be closure until I'm dead and gone, for me. there's always that feeling that we missed out on something. All right. We are happy to have with us tonight Ed Sarvis with criminal investigation, and I've known Eddie for several years. Yeah, right. But hopefully he can answer some of the questions that some of you had.
With cold cases, especially like mine being 14 years old, how do you determine solvability of a case, or when would you just really go to a family and say, a certain amount of years have passed, we've looked over this case and we just don't see anything happen? Do you ever make those kind of decisions?
I don't think we ever give up on the case. Sometimes we do go years and we don't hear a thing, but I can tell you in the last couple of years, we've received information on cases that are 30 years old, 35 years old. I think a lot of people don't know what kind of workload, in addition to the homicides that they are assigned every year, they also are responsible for investigating all deaths that don't happen inside a hospital. So you're talking, I don't know how many, a couple hundred a year probably. So they have an awful lot on them, and the workload is a lot. And I think a lot of people just don't realize how much work goes in that this unit goes through. It's a lot.
With all due respect to you, we're citizens. That's y'all's problem.
I know.
We don't want to hear that y'all don't have enough people. We know you got work to do. We know it's shortage, but that's not our problem. We're taxpayers. We lost children in this room. We have blood on the streets.
I understand.
Every mother in here.
What you want, a piece? Yeah, just a little piece. Yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
We're so glad that you were able to come and be with us today as we remember our loved ones.
These panels represent murder victims in Durham going back from 1993 to 2010. And there are some people we don't know the year that they were murdered, so we have a plaque called We Remember Them.
In the rising of the sun, and it's going down, we remember them. In the bowing of the wind, and in the chill of winter, we remember them.
I'm releasing this balloon in memory of my son, Carlos Clayton.
I'm releasing this balloon in the loving memory of my son, Kareem Fowler.
And I'm releasing this balloon in memory of my son, Tommy Hampton.
I feel like we need to take a moment of silence after that. Very emotional about what I just saw. So this afternoon, my name is Gloria Carter. I'm here to pay tribute to these two wonderful women that came to share their story. Miss Mina Hampton and Miss Diane Jones. I will be doing a song called A Mother's Prayer, and I hope that it encourages you and let you know that we are here with you. I'm gonna hold on to this just in case. I've got a little bit of the nerves today. I pray you be our eyes and watch them where they go. Help them to be wise, but help me to let go. Every every child knows needs to find a place. Hide us with your grace to a place where we'll be safe. I pray they'll find your light and hold it in their hearts as darkness falls each night. Help them find your star. Every mother's prayer, every child knows needs to find a place. Guide us with your grace to a place where they'll be safe. A world where pain and sorrow will be ended, and every heart that's broken will be mended, and we'll remember we are all God's children, reaching out to touch you, reaching to the sky. I pray they'll find your light and watch us from above. We hope each soul will find another soul to love. Let this be our prayer, just like every child needs to find a place. Guide us with your grace to a place where they'll be safe, safe, safe.
So without further ado, I want to introduce you to Diane Jones and Mina Hampton. And I'd like for them to, each of them to make some remarks. Can you hear me? Go ahead.
I would just like to say we appreciate the fact that someone is interested in this group called Parents of Murdered Children. We thank you all for coming today. We hope that this gives you some insight in what the families go through. This is a subject that a lot of people don't want to talk about and don't want to deal with, but there's a lot of people living and dealing with this every day.
Diane and Mina, I'm going to just ask you to mention, can you just say a few words about the status of what you can say about your son's case, and then turn it over to Mina for remarks, and if you can do the same, just so the folks know where those stand.
My son David was murdered March of '97 in Durham on Queen Street right before noon, March 25th. So the anniversary of his death date is in a few days. His case is unsolved, and the pain never goes away. Just realizing today, you try to put it out of your head, and just thinking about the date today And seeing this film just really brought it all back, as it always does. And it made me think about the fact that he was killed March 25th, which is a few days from now.
My son Tommy was murdered in 1994. And so I have been with Parents of Murdered Children ever since then. My case has been solved, and the guy's was served 10 years. First it was life, then it went down to 10 years, and then he served 3 years, so before he was released without my knowledge of that. So anyway, that was not very comfortable to know. And time has marched on, but I have moved on also. And I'm so happy for Diane to be here with you, because she has done a fabulous job with our Parents of Murdered Children group. And we just wish that more people in Durham would decide that this is a comforting place with Parents of Murdered Children, because we all share in the same responses in one way or another. They're not exactly alike, but we're all there together. And so if you have friends that need to go to a group, Parents of Murdered Children is a good group to go to, not just because we're there, but I think it's worthwhile.
Can you tell them about Compassionate Friends?
Oh, okay. After Tommy was murdered, one of our ministers talked to me and wanted to know if I needed some help. And of course, naturally, yes, not knowing everything that was going on. And so he suggested that I go to Compassionate Friends, which is a wonderful group. However, I decided that one was not for me, because that includes suicide, accidents, and being ill, whereas it did not give me the satisfaction of working with a group, not knowing how to, talk to people about their grief and everything. So I went back to my minister and I told him, and so he told me about Parents of Murdered Children, which I'd never heard of and probably never would have thought about it. But that is how I got to be in Parents of Murdered Children.
Do we want to open it up for questions now? Some folks have questions. Do you want the mic?
I don't know if I need a microphone.
You don't.
So my name's Lisa, and my sister Debbie was murdered 35 years ago. And I have a question that comes from our friends at Duke Home Care and Hospice. What, if anything, has impeded your grief, and what has helped you move forward?
To begin with, it was very difficult to, talk about that and be a part, but I felt like I needed something. So that was how I got into Parents of Murdered Children and with the other program I mentioned there. But I feel like that talking with people and sharing their sorrow along with yours, that you can help each other. To me, that is, you learn from them. It may be little things that we could tell you that, like, well, I can't even think now. Yeah, go ahead.
For me, coming to Parents of Murdered Children was the best thing that could ever happen to me. During the first year of my son's death, I felt like I was going crazy. Nobody understood that I didn't just take out the trash, I buried my son. And everybody had these things that they would say, it's been a year, you need to move on. I even went back to work because my boss was saying, it's been 2 weeks, it's time for you to come back to work. People don't understand that you lost a part of you. And it's a time limit set on grief, and it shouldn't be. What helped me was going to that organization, and it was only 2 people there that night that I got there. That was Mina Hampton and Nellie Jones, who started this chapter. And Mina's gonna kill me for gum. She tells me never to talk with gum, so I gotta get rid of gum. But after a year of not getting any answers from the police department, I went there, and when I got there, I couldn't even tell them who I was. All I could do was cry. And these ladies knew what I needed. They just grabbed me in their arms and hugged me, and they just comforted me, and they said, well, if you can't talk, write it down. And that's how I communicated for about a month. And they knew what I needed because they had been there. And I think, like Mina said, being able to talk with people who know what you need. You don't even have to say something sometimes. They already know what you need. So that's been the biggest help for me. What has impeded my grief is my son's case never being solved. I live in a constant fear. I am always afraid that something's going to happen to my other child or my grandkids. So I think an unsolved murder just keeps your life in turmoil.
Diane has grown more than anyone I have ever met, and I taught school for 30-some years, but she has really developed into making us a wonderful member, and it certainly has helped her along with all of the rest of us that were in parents of murdered children. It's just wonderful to know, and I'm so glad that I do know her and have seen what she can do. And she can do much better than I can ever think of doing, so. She can talk.
I'm sorry, I know they can't hear me all the way back there. How do you deal with the stress on yourself? Like the stress on your body? How do you keep going to work right after something like that happens? I mean, is there anything special that they suggest that you do?
For me, the first year after my son was murdered, I was out a lot. I was on the verge of getting fired. And I got to the point where I just didn't care. At one point, I wanted to end it. I would say every day as I was driving to work, I could drive out in front of one of these trucks and just end it. Like I said, I guess it was God's will because they kept sending me, parents of murdered children, letters in the mail saying, if your grief is, you're still struggling with grief, please come. And we're gonna have the DA here. If you have unsolved questions, please come. And my intention was to go that night and fuss out this DA, whoever it was, because no one had talked to me. And like I said, I couldn't talk or do anything. But from then on, I feel like that group saved my life because I had a purpose. They told me that they would help me, and they did. The very next week, they took me to the police station, and questions started to get answered. I started writing, and they immediately took my words and said that they were poems, and I just thought they were words. I call them words from my heart. And having that group really gave me a purpose. They helped me to see that I could make it, you know, and learning what grief did to your body was a big help for me. Just the whole process of what they had, the grief information and being able to go confront the police, you know, that was a big holdback for me because they wouldn't talk to me. I was just this person. But with them, I felt like I could do anything.
I decided that I needed to do something when my son was murdered. I had just lost my husband of 6 months when he was killed. And I thought, I don't believe I can go on. But then I thought, I have a daughter, and I need to do something. And if I could help someone else, I would try my best to do that. And I was working at the church as in the, well, I was, oh, shoot, I can't call the name of it. When you're in charge of something, I can't say it. Anyway, I was in charge of the children's program. I'll get it in a minute. See, when you get old, that happens to you. Maybe not to everybody, but I'm beginning to find out I can't say all I want to say at times. But anyway, I decided that I needed to do something. And so I did that. Then, it wasn't very long after that, and you saw on here the Citizens Observer Patrol, when there was a march, yes. We had a march for crime victims march. Yes, it was a national meeting. And so I went to that. And one of the policemen from the district that I'm in too was there, and another person, and they had this car, and this is what they wanted to go into the neighborhoods and see if they could help and meet the people, let them know that the police are there to help them and everything. So I thought, I believe I can do that. So that's how I got into that program, and I stayed until 3 years ago, and I decided it's time for me to quit that. But that was a very challenging thing to do, and it was uplifting to me to meet different people and walk through the neighborhoods and meet different people and be involved in that. So that was another thing that I felt like I was helping somebody else there.
What other questions are on your mind that weren't brought up in the short film?
Do you feel like you have a partner in the police department? I know they have a new chief now. Maybe there's a new direction with consulting with people going through grief, or people who are victims of these murders.
Back in 2003, as I said before, when I first came into the group, it was like you could not get your investigator to talk to you. It was I call it a divide. A lot of families had that issue. They would not talk to them or get back with them on their cases or anything. So in 2003, our organization had a meeting with then Brett Hallen, who was over the homicide division, and we came together and we talked and we came to an understanding. And from 2005 up until now, we have homicide investigators at every meeting. We have the DA in attendance at some meetings. We have victim services in attendance. And it's made a difference because, as we've said over the years, we've gotten to know each other. They've gotten to understand us, and we've gotten to understand how the process works, which has helped a lot of families. And coming together and communicating helped us to realize that we all need each other. In order to make this thing work, we all need each other. So.
In the back.
My name is Olivia, and I have a question from the staff at Duke Home Care and Hospice. People often don't know what to say about a loss, especially to a mother about the death of her child. What responses have been the most comforting to you?
I know you heard me say that when I went there, I couldn't talk. Most of the time, we can't talk. We are so consumed with grief. And a hug, if that person wants to be hugged. We did learn along the line that some people don't like to be touched, but we've learned that the touch of a hand, the touch on the back, the touch of a shoulder, or even a comforting look is enough. Because sometimes you say things thinking that you're giving comfort, and it doesn't go across that way to the person that's grieving. You know, people say things like, God wouldn't make a mistake. And we say to ourselves, oh, yes, he did, because he took my child. And we've had people say that they hate to hear people say, oh, I know how you feel. And that's the farthest way from the truth. You don't know how we feel. So just a comforting look. I think we've learned that each person grieves differently. And you can kind of read a person's body language if they want to be hugged. But most of the time, just a comforting touch is enough.
My name is Linda, and I'm a grandparent of a murdered child. And I want you to know what POMC means to me. Without them, I wouldn't have made it. I raised Courtney, my granddaughter, from the time she was 15 months until she was killed when she was 25, excuse me. She was killed February the 26th, 2014. It is hard to talk about, even now. But she was murdered on Holloway Street. An innocent person standing there eating some chips or crackers and drinking a soda. And from what we can surmise, she heard something and she turned. And when she turned, a stray bullet hit her right here, went straight through the back, killed her instantly. Fortunately, or I'll just keep my fingers crossed, we're to go to trial next month. It's been 4 years. But I'm trying not to get to the point that I'm excited to go. I still have that doubt that at the last moment, they'll come up and say, there's another delay. And another delay for me to go on. So until that happens, and I can speak to them directly and tell them what they did to me and other members of our family, then I can move on. But POMC has helped me get this far. They've held my hand through the whole thing. The police department that investigated the case, he's the one that told me about POMC. And the first time I went, I knew I was where I needed to be. They knew how I felt. And my friends, they would come up, oh, I'm so sorry, I know how you feel. No, they don't. Grandparents aren't supposed to bury their grandchildren. They're just not. Some ways she was my child. I raised her, and her quirky little smile that I miss so much. But I'll see her again one day, and I know that. And thank you, Mina and Diane, for being there for me.
I'm just wondering, those of us that would like to help, that haven't had a child murdered, you know, what ways do you have in your group, or what ways would you suggest for people? I think maybe coming to vigils, but I didn't know if there's something you could say about that.
A lot of ways that you can help, like you said, come individuals. For us, we've been around for a lot of years, and we sit here with a sad heart because we're contemplating closing our chapter here in Durham because we don't have the support. We are through a national organization which has proven grief products that work with grief information that works. It helps a lot of people. But the word murder, parents of murdered children, we've had people say, why do you have such an awful name? Nobody really donates to our organization. We do fundraisers, as you've seen, and it's just not enough. We try to do events throughout the year for the families. We do a holiday dinner. We do a Remembrance Day, which is September the 25th for all murder victims. That's a national day of remembrance that a lot of people don't even know about. It was passed by Congress in 1998.
We went to Washington for the opening of that.
So there's a lot of ways that you could help, just like you said, the vigils. There's something called Camp Relief that is through Duke that a lot of people don't know about, and it's for the children that have been affected by violence. There's a $35 fee for those children to attend that camp. I just wish that more information was available to families immediately after a murder. One of the biggest issues for families, and I've heard a lot of them say, and it happened to me, that when you go to the hospital or when you get the call, or if you do get a call, when you get to the hospital, there's no one there to talk to you. You know, you're in this, you're thrown into something that you've never imagined, and you're in it by yourself from that call, from that stepping into the hospital, and it's just a whirlwind. Time stands still from that moment on, and there's no help. I wish that there were more resources available immediately. There are so many things, I can't tell you all of them now because in a situation like this, you kind of trying to think of what to say, but the biggest thing is support organizations that are trying to help families. And just like the kids are out there now doing the movement, I thank God for them, because we've been talking a lot of years and nobody's heard us. And I've said it some years ago, we need to involve the youth into this thing because their voice may be heard louder than ours, and we've been talking a lot of years, and so they are making some progress that we didn't think would happen. But support organizations that are out there spreading the word. If you can, give your time. If you can, donate. Mental health is a big issue for the families. I have a family that we've been working with since 2010, and the father of the grandson called me last night and was saying that the grandbaby has just lost it. His mother was killed, stabbed to death. Now he's having issues. And mental health is needed right away. Some kind of grief support other than, something is needed right away after a murder because it's traumatizing for everybody.
So I wasn't going to say anything because this is very emotional as well. My cousin was killed in high school in New York. It was actually the very first school shooting in February the 26th, 1992. It was him and a schoolmate, and they had some kind of beef, and this guy just came and shot them, both of them, and killed them. And the mayor happened to be visiting the school that day. It has devastated our family. It's 26 years. Our children were devastated. I was afraid to send my daughter to school. And his mother has still not really recovered. I told her about this presentation today, and I told her I wasn't going to come. But she asked me to attend, and she asked me to just let you know how much she loves you. She also went to Washington. She testified. She has moved from New York to Virginia and now back to Barbados. I talk to her every single day because I think that her happiness is that when she sees her son again, it doesn't go away. It hurts you. little things, like even if you get a phone call late at night, you wonder, what is this call about? It still impacts me, and it wasn't my son, but it was a family member. So I wanted to say to you that I feel your pain. No, I am not a mother, but I feel your pain, and I know what it has done to your family. But I want you to know that she also wants me to tell you how much she loves you. Okay.
Any other questions?
So I had another question from the staff at Duke Home Care and Hospice, and it's at policy levels, where do you want to see change?
We have to talk on camera. I'd like to stay politically correct, but there's a lot of change needed. First of all, as I said, someone should be available in homicides, a chaplain or someone to meet the family, to talk with the family. Immediately, there should be someone there to offer grief counseling or mental health support. It is so badly needed. I can't even begin to tell you how I made it through the day after my son died, trying to plan a funeral, knowing nothing about how to do that. It's just so many things, so many things.
I just wanted to say, I just want to follow up on, I think, what you're saying, what we can do. In an ideal world, I would have loved to see every single chair taken in this room. Unfortunately, I mean, this is an evergreen issue. I mean, I made this film in 2012 and it's 2018, and I mean, we're still talking about the same issues. My movie's available on my website, leonoraminai.com, so feel free to share it with anyone. I really appreciate the opportunity to show it here. To be honest with you, I haven't gotten, this is probably, I can count on my hand how many times I've gotten a request to show it. And I think that says a lot about perhaps the public's appetite for being able to look at this issue, and it goes to what Diane and Mina were talking about, is when people hear murder, they just sort of, you know, shirk away. So share it, and I just like to say that I'm available at any time to come and show it, and I'm sure Diane and Mina would love to come with me, right? So it did screen at the Parents of Murdered Children National Conference in Arizona, right? Several years ago, I went out there with Diane and Mina, and I got to show it during that conference, which was really a big deal for Durham and for Diane and Mina and the other people in the audience. And also, just this is a national issue. It's not unique to Durham. You know, it just so happens that I wanted to tell their story. So, yep.
I would just like to mention one more thing before we go. We have a remembrance booklet on the table back there, and in it lists the name of all of Durham's murder victims going back to 1993. And as I said, the names now are almost up to 800, if not 800. We have a problem, and it's time that people started addressing it. We have a problem. People used to think it had just happened on certain sides of town. Now it's happening everywhere. We got to take our heads out of the sand and realize this is a big issue, a big problem. And it's not just their problem, it's all our problem.
Thanks for coming.
One other question is, if we wanted to volunteer to help up any of us, is there something online that we would
Yes.
go to? Would it be the national? or-
You can find us on the National's website. You go to pomc.com or .org, and it'll give you all the stuff that National sponsors. They sponsor a lot of different things like parole block, grief weekends, conferences. And the other thing I would like to mention, we are certified. We have to go back every 3 years and be recertified. So we are certified to go out and help families that are experiencing grief. And under the toppings of the website, you'll see chapters, and you click on North Carolina. We are the only chapter in North Carolina, and our hearts are heavy because we don't want to close our chapter, but we just don't have the support. So go to the website, and you'll see all the great stuff that is offered by National, and you can click on chapters, North Carolina, and you will see our webpage. Thank you.